Welcome, everyone, to the City of Saratoga Springs Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, April 16th, 2026. And we'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Rather will lead us in that, if we can have the audience join us. Thank you. We'll move on to roll call. We've got Commissioner Wilden is excused tonight. Everyone else is in attendance. And we do have a lot of people here tonight. Thanks for coming. We're looking forward to hearing your comments. We're going to go ahead and start with the public input, and this time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, and comments for subject matter not listed as a public hearing on the agenda. A limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Unused time may not be given to another, and time for public input is limited to no more than 15 minutes total. Is anyone here for a public item? Would anyone like to make a public input tonight that is not a public hearing item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public input and move to public hearings item number 1, amendment to Title 19 Land Development Code of the City of Saratoga Springs, Chapter 19.04, establishment of land use zone and official map. It is proposed that larger buildings be allowed by increasing the maximum building footprint size in the neighborhood commercial zone from 15,000 square feet to 60,000 square feet. Mike Williamson as applicant and citywide developer initiated senior planner Austin Roy.
All right, thank you, Chair. Yes, so this code amendment that we have tonight, the applicant is specifically looking at a piece of land in the city that's located at 2000 South Ring Road. Let's see, something's popping up on the screen there. 1 second. But as we fix that on the screen, the location is proposed for a charter school. Beehive Academy is the applicant. And so this is the site you can see here. It's at the west end of Ring Road. And then this is a zoning map, so you can see what it's currently zoned. It's currently zoned as neighborhood commercial. This is just west of the fire station. Let's see this. Okay, so as you can see here, this is really just a simple code amendment. It's changing one line. They're proposing to change the maximum building footprint size in the neighborhood commercial zone from 15,000 square feet to 60,000 square feet. As you can see here on the next slide, they have a proposed concept plan for this site. This would be where the Beehive Academy would be located. They are proposing to do it in 2 phases. So what you see on the left-hand side there, that would be phase 1. It would be the first building constructed, and then that building on the right-hand side of that parking lot would come at a later date for more senior students as they kind of age up through the program. One of the things that they did want to point out with this concept plan is that they're proposing a right-in, right-out access to this site. So the entrance would essentially be that access point on the south or the bottom of the screen there, and then the exit would be on that north or upper portion of the screen. They do show kind of some dashed lines running through the site that you can see there, which kind of showed the flow of how that traffic for drop-off would go. It looks like it would go into the site, it would snake around the parking lot, and then go back out through the north. That is the site, and that's the code amendment. A couple of things that staff would like to point out about this is that whenever someone proposes a code amendment, we have to look at the general plan. Does it comply with the general plan? So one of the things to consider in the general plan is it outlines what is the neighborhood commercial zone. And it says that a neighborhood commercial zone is an area for low-scale commercial uses. It also has a section in there that talks about the vision for that zone. And it's kind of small-scale commercial uses. And so two of the things that the Planning Commission should consider tonight is, does this match that general plan? Does it match the scale? Does it match the intended commercial use? Also, is it compatible with the vision for that zone? As we've mentioned tonight, also this, I'll go back, or maybe if I can go back, yeah, I can. So we're highlighting specifically Ring Road, but there are actually four other neighborhood commercial zones in the city, not at Ring Road. So there's one in the south, one has the Avondale Dance Academy on it, and the other one is just across the street from Mo Betta's. Also has a building already on it. So 2 out of the 4 of those already have buildings on them, and the one on the south is just on a vacant corner. So, but this zone change would technically impact all 4 of those zones. So it's not just Ring Road we're talking about tonight, but we're talking about, this is citywide. So if this code were to be changed, it would impact all of the neighborhood commercial zones in the city. I think, so that's what we have with regards to the application and the code amendment. We did receive a lot of public comments via email on this one. So I believe some of those may have been forwarded to you, the Planning Commission. And I do have a summary of those that I do want to read into the record at some point. But we also, the applicant has also requested to be able to present kind of their side of this and how the Beehive Academy would fit in here. So I'm not sure, Chair, how you'd like to go about that.
So, I mean, we're not really here to consider whether the Beehive Academy's CAMI is a good fit for the city or whether it meets the code or anything. What we're here to consider is a code change.
Correct, yeah.
Right? And so
I guess their presentation is, I mean, they are the applicant, so they would like to explain why they're requesting this code change. It's up to you, though. You technically don't have to, but they're requesting that they be allowed to give a brief presentation.
So I'm open to hearing a brief presentation, but I do hope that there's some good reason for making a citywide zone change included in the presentation. It's not solely just focused on what they're proposing for themselves. Although that is definitely a part of that, so I am open to hearing this. And then let's go ahead and wait on the emailed comments and voicemails until after we've heard from that. Do we want to do those before other public comment?
I would say let's have them present that, and then we could have the public comment after that.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend.
All right, let's go ahead and invite the applicant to join us if they would like to do so. And then please just state your name and address for the record as well as we get started with this. I'm just going to hold on 1 second. I don't know that your mic's on.
It's on now.
There you go. Thank you.
Austin, did you put that slide?
Yeah, we're pulling it up right now,
Okay.
so just one.
While he's pulling that up, just to introduce myself, my name's Chris McCandless. I have been working with, and that's a first slide, perfect. I've timed this, it's about 7 minutes, so if you'll give me that latitude, that'd be great. We think there's some interesting parts to it. Beehive Academy, I'm here, my address is 9071 South, 1300 West, Suite number 201, West Jordan, Utah. I'm here with Mike Williamson. He and I have been working with Beehive, finding a site, and we have worked for about a year trying to find a site in Lehigh for Beehive. Beehive's executives and some of their staff are here tonight, so if you have any questions that might be answered by them, they're here and available to you to inquire from them. We can go to that next slide.
There you go.
Thank you. One more. There you go. So we've assembled all three of these parcels, and it is not very conducive to neighborhood commercial because of its size is 12.83 acres. But that's the zone that we got to work with. We originally mailed out brochures and a letter to the area residents. I think we sent out about 250 packets, some of which information you've got before you, just to be fair. Then we had an open house at Beehive to show people what kind of a school it is. This school is recognized nationally as one of the finest schools of its kind in the country. It's been ranked #1 high school in Utah since 2021. They have a lot of awards. My involvement as a city councilman in Sandy, once upon a time, was to embrace them when they were a young school. I quit and helped them build a K-12 school. They've asked me to come and help them do the same thing in Saratoga City. That's where I'm coming from. The site itself is extraordinary. It's a great piece of real estate. We think it would make a great school. Next slide. So the traffic pattern is, we know traffic's the big issue. We know that. So we've done a couple of things. First, the right-in, right-out access has us bypassing the biggest challenge with the ring road because we won't necessarily be on it. We take a right in at our access and then wind our cars through with significant stacking and take them out on a ride out only, no left-hand turns by the school or their student population. 2 buildings at 50,000 each. Of course, it's the K-7 on the front side, and then the parking lot is in the middle, so it screens the parking lot from view of the people that are there. The second building then is the 8-12 school. That's the high school in the second phase. The rest of the property is open space. We don't need 12.23 acres. We need about 10 at the most. But this site lends itself to have such a spectacular orientation and view. We thought leaving most of it open instead of blocking it with a bunch of buildings would be a benefit for the community from an aesthetics perspective. That next slide. This is really a tale of what's going to be built there. Something's going to be built there. This is coming from your ordinance. Those are all the types of uses that can be used associated with a neighborhood commercial site, which includes schools. They're permitted. The 3 parcels, if developed, and this flyer came from Mountain West, which is a commercial real estate broker that we've been coordinating our purchase contracts with. We haven't bought it yet. We won't unless we get an approval. But if it's bought as a permitted use for all of those uses, they could build about 100,000 square feet of space in our advertising, and that's with all 3 parcels, which have been coordinated, and we have those under contract as well. They're not going to want to ride in, ride out only on Ring Road. They're going to want to have 4-way accesses with full left-hand sides. Knowing that traffic would be the issue here tonight, we had, next slide. We had an engineering company, Hells, probably the preeminent traffic engineering company in the state. They do work for you guys, they do work for UDOT, they work for everybody. I asked them, what happens if you do a neighborhood commercial development on this site? And they gave us a memorandum. It's not a traffic impact study. If we get that far, I'm sure you guys will want us to do a traffic impact study, and we'll be glad to do that. Shopping center plaza, the stuff that's permitted uses within that zone, will create 3,923 vehicle trips per week. That's just Monday through Friday. And they're open on the evenings and on Saturday and Sunday. The school, Monday through Friday, will generate only about 25% of those trips. So it's going to be something. We get to pick. If it's not us, what is it? And what's going to have the least amount of impact? The second part of that aspect is that we're closed in the evenings and we're closed on weekends. Commercial businesses are not. And so that's one of the things that we think is a reason for its approval. We're less impactful on the community and we give them better benefits. The change in building size that we're asking to go from 15 to 50, we're 50,000 square feet per building, is the same same footprint that you're going to get if it's a neighborhood commercial project. It's the same deal. One's permitted. We will not build a school. We talked about building a school in a campus environment with 5 buildings at 15,000. That could probably be done, but it doesn't work for us. It's not a quality product for a charter school to try and accommodate that. Trying to get administration to all 5 buildings just doesn't work. The last thing that we think is important is that it doesn't impact everything in the neighborhood commercial. Go to that last slide. It's a pretty easy fix. I spent 15 years as a city councilman. I know what we did. Don't know if it's what you would like to do. But everything in that zone works for us except the 15,000 footprint. The easiest solution to this problem for us would be to put a note, item number 4, at the bottom of your chart. That chart comes from your ordinance specifically, that requires that schools can build a 50,000 or 60,000 square foot structure. Everything else stays exactly the same. It's just the schools, and it can be done with a note. Last slide. I tried to keep it short. There's a bunch more information I could tell you. Sorry. But I appreciate the work you do. I understand it completely. I know you guys are all volunteers, and it's a big commitment, and appreciate what you do. I would like to hope that you would take the consideration of what is it really going to be, and what do we want there. Something's going to impact Ring Road traffic. I think this is the best option, but that's just me. Any questions?
How tall are we considering for these buildings at this point?
We'd love to go 3 stories, but your zone requires it to be 2. 35 feet tall is the maximum, and we'll stick with that.
And that's the zone for neighborhood commercial?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other developer questions at this point? Okay. I do just want to clarify this. So we're hearing from the developer, the applicant tonight, that these 3 parcels could end up with a 100,000 square foot permitted building footprint. Is that accurate? Is that like?
It all depends on the setbacks, right? So you could fit a building on there as long as it meets the required setbacks for the zone. You could construct that. It does have to meet the 15,000 square foot minimum building footprint size, which we are of course talking about tonight. But you could have multiple buildings theoretically, and you know what does that add up to? I don't know. We don't have a number for you off the top of our heads, but theoretically you could fit multiple buildings, and as long as they meet the setbacks. And you do also have to realize on this property there is a power line that goes through it, so there is a power line easement. You wouldn't be able to build any buildings under that easement. So
You wouldn't be able to build any buildings where?
under the power lines.
Can we see that on a map?
Yeah, we can go back. You can actually kind of see the way that they've oriented their development here. Where that parking lot is, that's where the power lines are. So that's why they have the building on the west and the east side of the property.
So that dotted line right there.
Well, I don't, yeah, you can see that dashed line at the bottom. Who's controlling that? Yeah, if you could, yeah. So if you could see that line right there just to the right, right there. That line is, yeah, and it continues all the way off the screen to the north, off the top of the page, and down to the bottom. That is at the actual power line.
To help
And
clarify,
I would add
perhaps.
that the Smith's Marketplace is on 12.3 acres, and this site is 7 acres. So I don't imagine, I imagine it'd be very difficult to have a building or buildings that equate to that size, especially under the limit that's currently in the code, because you have to have building separation when you have multiple buildings. And, Smith's Marketplace is probably in the over 100,000 square feet. And that's a 12.3 acre lot just for that. So I don't imagine that Without seeing actual scenarios, I think it would be very difficult to see that type of square footage on this site on Ring Road.
Okay.
We could,
Before we do any other, I guess, commission comments, let's go ahead and open for public input,
thank you.
and brace ourselves. All right. Yep. Yeah, do we want to start with
Yeah, we could just read these in so that we did receive a number of comments through this whole week. And so we've been compiling them. We had to put a cutoff. They kept rolling in right up until the meeting. So we cut it off at 4 p.m. Wendy can correct me if that time is wrong, but I believe it was 4 p.m. Okay, so there were a couple then additionally at 5. So this is a brief summary of those comments that have come in. We're not going to read each one word for word, but so we're just going to summarize them. But we do mention the names of who submitted those, and then kind of a summary of what their comment was. So I'll go ahead and read that now. We've divided this into 2 sections. So those were those that were for the code amendment and those that were against the code amendment. So first I'll read those that were for the code amendment. Okay, so the names of the people that emailed: Sam Roberts, Andrew Tice, Doug Larson, James Edwards, George M. Wright, Travis Sorensen, Stan Robbins, Jeff Peacock, all of which, by the way, live in Eagle Mountain. And then we also received comments from Ray Kinghorn of Lehigh, Rustin Sullivan of Spanish Fork, Justin Barney of Salt Lake City, Ryan Stewart of South Jordan, and Morgan Barney of Washington State, and Jim Cole of Saratoga Springs. All of these individuals just mentioned supported the proposed code amendment and the idea of allowing larger charter school in the area. They generally felt that a school would be an appropriate use for the site and could benefit the community. Mr. Edwards and Mr. Barney believed that the increased building size would have a minimal or manageable impact on traffic and would be preferable to other commercial development options. Mr. Cole also suggested that allowing greater building height flexibility could be appropriate for the site. And then we received some other comments that were against the proposed code amendment. And this included Jennifer Chamberlain, Sandra Steele, Heather Bruck, Madeline Schneff, Parker Schneff, and all current Saratoga Spring, all of which are current Saratoga Springs residents. Each one of them expressed a strong opposition to the proposed amendment, citing concerns about traffic, parking, safety, infrastructure, and neighborhood character. They emphasized that the increased school enrollment and larger scale development would likely worsen the congestion on already strained residential roads, particularly during peak pickup and drop-off times, and that limited parking could lead to overflow into nearby neighborhoods, creating safety hazards. Many of those just mentioned objected to the increasing the allowable building size from 15,000 to 60,000 square feet, arguing that it is inappropriate for the zoning, the lot size, and the surrounding residential area. The commentators also warned that changing the definition of neighborhood commercial, especially around Ring Road, could set a precedent for more intensive development and erode existing zoning protections. Several also expressed concerns that infrastructure is already insufficient to support current and planned growth. Some of the residents also felt that the proposal prioritizes developer interest over community and could negatively impact safety, property values, views, and overall quality of life. Others also noted that existing nearby retail options already meet community needs, making additional large-scale commercial development unnecessary. Overall, the commenters urged denial of the amendment to preserve neighborhood safety, character, and livability. And that's all of the online comments that we've received.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead and open public hearing on this. Open public hearing for we're going to call this the Ring Road, or sorry, the the Title 19.04 code change. Thank you. Please be respectful of your comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Time may not be given to another commenter. Please avoid repetitive comments. And time will be limited to 15 minutes. We're also going to ask that city residents are given priority to make comments first. If anyone is here for the public hearing item, we're going to go ahead and invite you to join us at the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. Sir, and who's running the timer tonight?
If before the timer starts, I could just, we have a group of us, but not all of us are gonna talk. So I was wondering.
Yeah.
There we
Okay,
go.
there we go. Does that work? Okay. I was wondering if I could just have everybody that is opposed to this that's here tonight from our neighborhood, we live in Jacobs Ranch, that's not gonna stand, or that is opposed at all, stand. Because not everyone will have a voice at the pulpit.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the initiative to do that. And then just for the flip of that, if anyone's here to make comment tonight and is in favor of this, if you could also stand. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and start that timer and get name and address, and we'll get you going. And let's just remember the repetitive comments piece is helpful. Thank you.
So my name is Mindy Green, and I live on 2112 South Ruger Drive in Jacobs Ranch. I've lived as a resident here in Saratoga Springs for 25 years, and I love this city. I'm for things that make our city a better place. As I've mentioned before, I helped get the baseball fields that are here. We love it. I love to see positive things coming to our city, and I don't think that this school is a bad thing to have in Saratoga. The problem is what they're asking us to do is to change something that will affect the entire city for the longevity of the city. And it's not just the one spot on Ring Road that's going to be changing. We currently now, like they said, have 4 areas that are zoned neighborhood commercial. 2 of those are on the same street. The other one is just south of the Maverick. If we open that up, we are going to be majorly affected in our neighborhood by the potential of having a Target, a Walmart, a neighborhood grocery store that may want to apply for and come in just south of the Maverick on that piece of property that also brings more traffic. The other problem is we have a massive problem on Lariat, which we've already been here to discuss. Every single school that we have within this city is built on a major collector road. Lariat will be used as a major collector road when it is not zoned for that to get to a school. Even Avondale, which fits within the footprint of a neighborhood commercial, which is no more than 15,000 feet, has no neighboring houses around it, has a school in its backyard, and has a major collector road where no houses back that street with a center divide to help people safely get in and out of even a preschool. And if, as much as I would love to respect the developer, if they think that nobody's going to come out of here and turn right to go onto Ring Road unless there is a center divide placed in that road that's a cement divide to stop that traffic, they're going to do that. And now we've just turned Lariat into a major collector road to come to a school. And this property has been zoned for and asked by the city, and we appreciate residents, as being something that will be built for the community itself. This school will bring people in from all over, from every city around. We'll get Lehigh, we'll get Eagle Mountain, we'll get Draper, Harriman, because people drive. My kids went to a charter school in Harriman, and we drove every single day because that's what my family wanted. We were willing to do that drive. And if we had people coming from Eagle Mountain, what road are they going to take? They're not going to take Redwood Road. They're not going to take Ring, and they're not going to drive around. They're going to come down Lariat. And we have houses on that street that face that road with children there, and it's already a massive problem that we're trying to figure out how to address, and this will just make the problem worse. And not only that, we have further development, future development, that if we want to minimize and stop what's allowed there, this will change that. So I ask that you vote no against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, June Rigby, 314 West Weatherby Drive, 2 doors up. The presentation done by the gentleman had interesting numbers in it that, if you really look at them, they weren't telling the truth. You can You can distort numbers and make them seem awful, or you can make them seem good, and some of those were distorted. We have different categories of zoning for a reason. Neighborhood commercial is intended to bring in less traffic, to blend in, to fit with the attached neighborhood. A charter school is intended to bring in more people and traffic from the community at large, not just a neighborhood. Buildings over 15,000 square feet, as asked for in this zoning, are not even allowed in heavy commercial zoning. They're not even allowed there, but we're gonna put it right there in the neighborhood. They're asking for a lot of square footage. We're talking 100,000 square feet in that small area. One other interesting thing is that the neighborhood commercial zoning description says that these developments can be at the maximum 5 acres. That's more. Buildings that large that they're asking for are allowed only in industrial, light industrial, business parks, or institutional/civic zoning areas. None of these sound neighborly, and many of these zoning types don't have the type of traffic congestion that a school brings, so the zoning change would give us the worst of all worlds. The increased amount of traffic, disruption, and general chaos will have a profound negative effect on one of the main entrances to our neighborhood, to Grasslands Park, and to the children who play there. There are soccer games, practices, and other sporting events, and while they are adorable to watch, they do cause some crazy stuff. Kids dart in and out of traffic. People are stopped right there at Weatherby and Redwood trying to make turns and go different directions. It's not good. Safety will be compromised by the anticipated problems coming from the sheer number of cars from Larry H. Miller subdivision, which was forced upon us. And then by adding a school into all of this with drop-offs and pickups, I mean, we all know what that does to a school. It's insane for at least an hour every day in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. That doesn't include extracurricular activities. This would make that section of Ring Road impassable and the scariest, most dangerous road in all of Saratoga. The developers purchased the land knowing what the zoning was. This is a second attempt to change the zoning here. Really, come on. They make promises, but once, and we're talking about a school, but they don't have to give us a school. They can do whatever they want with it. And I'm gonna just finish with this thought. We've been burned by developers, by the state government. Please don't make us add your names to that list.
Thank you for your comment, June, and thank you for your comment, Mindy.
Good evening. My name is Tom Sellers. I've been a resident of Saratoga Springs for a year and a half. I'm a transplant from the Golden State. I live at 487 West Stetson. My only concern, so I'm not redundant or repetitive, is this is a developer, not a school. They want you to change the definition first, and then they'll apply for the school. I'm concerned that developers change their mind. You can't guarantee it, they can't guarantee it. Once you change those parameters, what will go in there? I don't have a problem with the schools per se, but you're changing it here and 4 other sites or 3 other sites here in the city. That's all I have to say for you to consider. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your comment tonight.
Matt Gerard, 2331 Browning Drive in Saratoga Springs. Members of the commission, for me, this is a public safety issue first. The land surrounding Jacobs Ranch, particularly to the west and the south, is extremely prone to fires on a regular basis. I anticipate this upcoming season will be extremely dangerous for the residents of Jacobs Ranch and surrounding communities. In 2020, we had a severe fire that came very close to the Jacobs Ranch community. Our friends and neighbors were asked to evacuate that community. At that time, it took me 1 hour to leave Jacobs Ranch to travel to Walmart. That was 6 years ago, and since that time, there have been at least double the amount of stoplight intersections placed on Redwood Road. With the increase of population and proposed housing by the Larry H. Miller Group to the west of Jacobs Ranch, this will cause a greater influx to the area if there is wildfire danger, and I understand that Larry H. Miller claims to have some mitigation, but that's yet to be proved. If we have regular fires in this area, then evacuation it poses a huge public safety risk to not only our friends and neighbors that already exist there, but to any children that might be here at the charter school. We cannot control when wildfire events. We can only plan for proper evacuation of the city residents. So for me, again, this is a public safety issue. I would ask you to consider that first in making your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commission. My name is Matt Harris. I live at 2001 South Thoroughbred Drive. I've lived there about 11 years. It's just about a 10th of a mile to the west from this. One of my concerns that I don't think has been addressed yet is particularly the traffic on Ring Road already. There's a park there that's not shown on the map just to the west of that. That's used for like soccer and other activities that the city does. And even during games or practice for that, cars park along that street. And even with just one side of vehicles on that street is almost impassable for 2 lanes of traffic. I can't even imagine what a school drop-off and pickup would be that would just cause absolute mayhem and make that road about nigh impassable. I don't think a ride-in, ride-out will do near as much as what the developer suggested. Like, there are roads here that people are gonna come down from the west. There's not gonna be buses that are gonna help mitigate any of the traffic since it is a charter school. It's just gonna be people coming and going, driving in their own vehicles. Also, I think it's just kind of ridiculous that this is a citywide request. There was no address of that from the developer as to why that needs to be citywide. That just seems a little excessive to me. I don't think it should be done here, let alone citywide. And also, I think it's kind of interesting that most of the approval comments that were received online are all from people out of town. This does not directly affect where they are every day. As you saw by people standing, the majority of people here that are going to be affected by this are not in favor. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Robison. I live at 2331 South Cimarron Avenue. This really caught my attention because this very scenario played out in Provo about 20 years ago in my parents' and my in-laws' neighborhood. Freedom Academy built their charter school, and I love charter schools. I have grandchildren that go to them, but they are close to roads that have in and outs that don't have to go through neighborhoods. So that aside, I'd like to draw your attention to Freedom Academy. It's 1190 West, 900 North. It took over GRA Park, which was a beautiful park we played in growing up. It has nothing to do with that, but they guaranteed that neighborhood that parents would come in turning right and they'd leave turning right. Well, guess what? People drive where they want. And it also, the number of children attending that school is so significant that the lineup to turn right only to pick up goes all the way from that school 2 blocks to the west. It goes through this neighborhood, around the corner, and blocks traffic. This is a built neighborhood that started being built in the 60s. The roads are not wide, and they cannot get in and out. That's just going in to pick kids up. To go out, they turn south, and they're supposed to dump out onto 820. 820 is an artery that connects the freeway to BYU campus. Right now, the bridge is out for being rebuilt, which is a totally different dynamic, but that has introduced, it's an extraordinary problem. Then, they said in their plan this was going to be easy. It wouldn't cause any disruption in the neighborhood. It would be smooth in and out. That's not true at all. And then they said, well, we're going to build our high school on that same property. It took the fire marshal being called into the meeting to prevent that from happening when he said there is no physical way we will be able to get our equipment into this neighborhood during a drop-off pickup or activities. And that's the one thing they left out. charter schools are like any other school. There are activities in the afternoon, there's things during the day where parents come, and there's a lot of stuff at night. I mean, as they should, they're a school. And with their addition of high school, everybody drives themselves. And so I agree with June, those numbers aren't accurate. At least with smaller commercial offerings, it's in and out, a smattering throughout the day. This is massive all at one time. And if any emergency to occur during their drop-off pickup, there's no way the fire marshal, there's no way the equipment could get in, even with the fire station being right there. So anyway, that is my concern, having seen it play out. Being at my in-laws' home when it was drop-off pickup time, it's ridiculous. And no one goes anywhere in that neighborhood during that period of time because they cannot get out. So that's my concern. So thank you for listening. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Brent Brainich. I've lived in Saratoga Springs since 2002, before traffic lights. I've built 2 homes here. We love it here. We've raised 3 children, 3 adopted children here. Been welcomed by all. Multi-racial family. The current plan, the way it's zoned now, is for Saratogans. That's for all of us. It's for all of us to enjoy. The current the amendment that's in question is for outside company to come in and influx into our neighborhoods and make a profit off of us. They said that, well, this is for kids, this is for schools, this is great, and they're only going to be using the school during school hours and things like that. But this will take away from the opportunity of other businesses to come in that everyone can use, just not school children. My kids are just about grown and gone. Well, it's not going to benefit me at all, and I'm here for life. I have a stake here. I want to be here. Under this plan, just to kind of put it in perspective, this building is 76,000 square feet. This is the Borg Cube. This is a big place. They're talking about 100,000 in a neighborhood. It's just not. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Granted, this is 4 stories. Cut this in half and set it there. This is what you'd have, plus 25%. In closing, I just want to say, I'll reiterate the fire. I've worked in medical air transportation. I've worked in emergency management, and I'm currently working with Utah Transit Authority. And logistically, Saratoga Springs is a nightmare. We need to do better. We need to do better for our citizens. We need to plan accordingly. Anything on this scale, making things bigger, broader, bolder, is quite literally irresponsible. We just can't do it. I have a passion for this city. I love the people in this city. I think we spoke in the last election of what we wanted for our city, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to all of our comments and understand where we're coming from. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment tonight.
I feel a little awkward knowing I'm the only one who is probably in favor of the change. So I want my neighbors to know, I hope you love me. I still love you, okay? But I just...
Can we get your name and address?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Kayla Crandall. I live on Browning Drive. Sorry, I have a lot of thoughts. I haven't been in the neighborhood long. A lot of my neighbors have been there 10 plus years, and they've brought up a lot of valid concerns, which I haven't had to experience because I haven't been there as long as them. But I would say that the neighborhood has denied a lot of options on Ring Road, and my fear is that we're going to have something worse than a school be built there. And so in my opinion, I feel like a school traffic would not be as bad as compared to other businesses that could be there. You'd have traffic in the morning, you'd have traffic at pickup, but then you wouldn't have traffic in the after school hours, you wouldn't have traffic on the weekends or in the summer. To me, I feel like that's feasible, and I appreciate that that the developer has thought about traffic concerns. I know that's still a valid concern. I'm also concerned about that, and I'm not going to pretend that isn't a concern. But I do appreciate that they have heard us in the neighborhood talk about that concern, and they're willing to try and find an option. I'm also appreciating that they do not want to raise the height requirement that is already listed there. I also appreciate the fact that a school would bring less noise compared to other businesses that could be built there as well. One thing I do want to bring up is Avondale School's lot is 63,293 square feet. And I think the proposed square footage increase was 60,000, and the school brought up 50,000 per building. So that is 50,000 would be smaller than the lot of Avondale Preschool. Just to give you some perspective, I know you've heard perspective of the other side, but something I just want to bring up that I've thought about is it would be great if the commission could consider like a conditional approval or an overlay, kind of like this. Chris brought up earlier. That this increase to 60,000 would only be for school use, because I don't think that increase would be feasible for like a gym or something else to be there when it could be more traffic. Anyway, so that's just a proposal that I'm proposing to the commission. If we do raise it to 60,000 or even maybe 50,000, maybe having that footprint in there that would say it's only for school use. But I am excited for it if it happens. And I still love my neighbors, okay? Thanks.
Thank you for your comment tonight.
Irina Swallow, 2136 South Featherby Drive. And I want to voice my opinion against this change of code. Citywide specifically, I know we concentrate a lot about the proposed charter school in this particular zone. And in respect to the previous speaker, neighbor, I want to say that as a neighborhood collectively, we have not denied businesses. We denied so far every proposed drastic changes to the code. To the current definition of the neighborhood commercial, it says that it's supposed to serve immediate neighborhood, walkable distance to the businesses that will address immediate needs of the neighborhood. This current proposal is not in line with that specifically, as well as drastic change, 4 times bigger buildings allowance through the neighborhood commercial. And I know currently we're talking only about 1 in Ring Road plus additional 3. But I think we need to think, I guess, on a larger scale. As a city, we continue grow, and we don't know if in the future we'll have a neighborhood commercial, so that's my concern. I also been a citizen of the Saratoga Springs since 2011, so over 15 years. I also lived through the mudslide that was caused by the wildfire, and that was a major concern for evacuation. It took my husband 2.5 hours to go around the lake, and I was stuck with my kids and my elderly mother without ability to go out of the neighborhood. We have currently, I think, not addressed the fact that there is a fire station in terms of adjust to this particular property. And they have hard time as it is to go in emergencies on a Lariat or even within our neighborhood as it is with the traffic. And it's been addressed, and I don't want to repeat, but also still want to draw attention that currently we have some city sports events at the Grassland Park, and that is a major congestion for us to get in and out of the city. So I thank for your time, first of all, as well as thank you for bringing this to our attention that this proposal is being addressed, and I would ask you to please recommend no against the citywide change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment tonight.
I'm Ashley Schultz. I'm at 2242 Browning Drive. I have been there for almost 11 years now. I'm also, like Kayla, in the minority here, that I'm more for this than I am against it. primarily, I know there have been some concerns brought up about traffic. I share all of those exact same concerns. Any of us that live here in Saratoga, that's an issue wherever you are. That's also an issue at every other single school here, whether it's Alpine School District or a charter school. It causes issues. I like that the developer has at least somewhat thought of it with the traffic concerns and figuring out a better way to route traffic through their own property if they were to successfully get this change. I do like the mention of adding something to this where the change for building size is only allowable for schools, because like other people in our community that have already spoken tonight, I don't necessarily like that this is a citywide change. I would be okay with it if it was solely just for schools. To speak a little bit on the lot size, neighborhood commercial allows 50% of the lot to be like covered with buildings. The rest of it is supposed to be like parking lot or green space. If the schools were built, we would have way more green space than we would if buildings were built. If you do the math and convert the 12 acres to square footage, that 50% is almost 260,000 square feet that could be buildable, which is much larger than the 100,000 square feet that they're proposing. So view-wise, what we're potentially losing from like the sagebrush field that it is right now, we'd have a lot more green space with the soccer fields and stuff than we would if that entire section of Ring Road was just developed as different 15,000 square foot commercial buildings. I also disagree with the thoughts that this won't benefit our community. I've been here 11 years. I still have kids that I'm raising. I know that's not necessarily true for a lot of my neighbors and a lot of the people that have spoken, but there are a lot of us that still have younger families that would be attempting to get our kids into this charter school. So it would directly benefit, like I could walk my kids. I'm literally like a block and a half from here. So it'd be like we could just walk our kids down. So it would directly benefit the community. So yeah, I'm more for it than against it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment tonight.
Hi, I'm Dean Rigby, live at 314 West Weatherby. I think I agree with a lot of the things that have been said about all the concerns about the traffic, safety, and many things about the school. Like other people said, I'm certainly not against the charter school. I think they're wonderful. I just don't think this is the appropriate place. This piece of property is not the appropriate place for it. And I think as we focused a lot on the school, that's great. But I think I just want to remind everyone of the main issue that we're here for tonight is about whether or not we're going to change the zoning. And just a reminder that if we do, and if something happens and the school doesn't come here, that we've opened it up for lots of other businesses that also wouldn't be appropriate for this piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sam Roberts, 9073 Mount Airy, Eagle Mountain. I'm on the border of Eagle Mountain and Saratoga. I've been out here 22 years in this area. I'm the part owner of the parcel in the middle, the 7 acres in the middle where the school would be. 3 years ago, I brought forth a rezone for this parcel so we could build an event center and a recreation center. Several of you were here back then. I remember Commissioner Hill was sworn in that month 3 years ago while we were talking. He even said the great comment, we all have activities here. We all drive a half hour to hour or so to get to activities. It'd be great if we could have some of that stuff here closer to home. That was 100% why I was trying to do that. I have 7 kids still at home, and they would love to have activities like that. It would be jobs for my kids to work at the center, but also for me to be a fun business owner for the business part. Without any rezone, you can build, like the last comment, nearly half of the 500,000 square feet could be a building. She said 260,000. That's pretty accurate. For just our 7 acres in the middle, that's 303,000. We were planning 100,000, about a third of that, to just be buildings, up to the 5,000 permitted use for an activity center like we wanted to have. We wanted a larger center than that with 3 basketball courts, not 1.5 courts, smaller building. We wanted to also have a little bit of soccer, basketball, volleyball type things, and maybe an event center, wedding and event center type situation Across the street at the golf course, they're busy all the time. We need more event centers in our area. We need to build the places that we need close to home. With no rezone, you can do what I'm saying right now without the large event center that I wanted back then. I can't do that here. It did not get approved. So with no approval of rezone, you can build what I'm proposing. We had our engineer optimize 12 buildings and that 7 acres in the middle, on either side of about a half on either side of the power lines. All of the perimeter would be drive-throughs, meaning a smaller 3,000 square foot building with a lot of parking lots and a lot of parking space and food that people would be driving around at all times, right? That's what it's gonna end up being if there's no change and the school doesn't come. The school needs their larger size building. They're great partners. I'm happy to vouch for them. They've been working with us since last fall about this. I've had this parcel with my partner for 4 years now. It's our first development. I would love to be able to do another one someday, but we got to do something with the first one. The city is not going to keep us from building something forever. It's going to be approved one way or another because our plan is to do 100% straight down the middle what it's exactly zoned for. Just like what's the neighbor, Jacobs Marketplace, recently got a rezone next to us so they could turn some of their, about a third of their land they were acquiring of the 28 acres from commercial to, from residential to commercial so they could do their grocery store plus everything around it. I know they got approved next to us. We could make a run at it again and try to do the same as what our neighbors just. We would ask for nothing different, just the same as what they got. But I'd prefer to just work with the school now because I think they'll do a great job for the community. I've been listening for years of what the community wants. This is a great solution for everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam. Where are we at time overall? Have we hit our 15 minutes? My man, you said you were running timer. I think we've exceeded our 15 minutes. I'm going to guess that we have heard the majority of the issues that play here tonight. So I think we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time and open commissioner comment. And I get to go first. So, sorry, Austin. All right, Austin, I went back and watched the 2023 Planning Commission meeting and City Council meeting in which Sam was asking for a 20,000 square foot building instead of a 60,000 or I guess 2 50,000 square foot buildings and was denied for that. We heard from the developer about adding a line 4. Why are we hearing that from the developer and not the city? Is that a possibility? Is that something that we need to be discussing? What's going on with that?
That's a great question. So the developer submitted an application. Their application was, if I can go back, this is what they submitted. So having a line item 4 down below is new information that was just presented tonight in their presentation. And that's the first time that the city has seen it. So it is a different take on that. It would change things. So this would just say all neighborhood commercial zones would be allowed to have a 60,000 square foot building. But what he just showed in his presentation tonight would say that only a school could do that. So it is different than what was in the packet and what they originally proposed.
Yeah, it's great if we can.
Sorry, I would like input from our legal department. Roland, where that is different, can it even be discussed? Or is it changing the same part of the code so it can be discussed?
It would be changing the same part of the code, and since it's not more than what they're asking, so it would be different if they came in now and they were saying, can we actually go to 80,000 square feet? That would be more than what we're doing, but since this would technically be less restrictive or more restrictive than what they're asking for, it still could be considered by the council under the hearing that went out and the notice.
Okay. All right, and then help me just understand with neighborhood commercial, the building sizes is a maximum of 15K. And can those buildings be touching each other?
No, they cannot be touching each other.
Okay, so it's like these
there's a
pocket buildings.
We have a minimum required separation between buildings.
Okay. And just off the top of your head, how many buildings do we have that are commercial buildings that are 15K or smaller that are a 2-story building?
That are a 2-story?
Mm-hmm. I know, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. you know, we have, I mean, you can think of like the bank off of Pioneer, that's, believe is 2 stories. You
That's
have-
Central Bank, okay.
Most of the buildings in the city are usually 1 story, so it's not, there's not a lot of them. And another one that I can think of is Precision Medical. I don't know if you remember that one that came in about a year or so ago. That's kind of north of Sergeant Court.
Yeah.
It's that new development on the corner just south of ABC Great Beginnings. That was also a 2-story commercial building.
Okay.
But I think a good way to think of a 2-story is just think of a residential home. 35 feet is the same height standard that we have for a residential
It's
single
probably
family.
comparable to the old city office building and library.
That's a good
area,
comparison,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Great, yeah.
Approximately, yeah.
Well, kind of what I'm wondering with this is actually not, because I actually live in a 2-story building, house, and so I do know about the sizes
Yeah.
a little. But about how many commercial buildings are we really seeing coming in with, that are a 2-story, 15K lot size? Because what we're talking about is really, like, we're not really seeing that very often in the city. We can think of 1 or 2 examples of that. And we're trading multiple small buildings for 2 really big buildings that would be 2 stories, where if we're kind of estimating the probability of having a bunch of 2-story buildings come in on those properties is probably pretty low.
I think that's fair to say.
Guesstimate?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other, on one of their other, on our city code where they were saying let's add the number 4, there's another item on that says that there's no property lines if it's a building, or no setbacks if it's a building that's a non-residential building.
Yeah, I have their. well, they
Sorry,
have
my
put a
laptop died, so
Yeah.
I can't pull it
They
up.
have a
I was looking
printout
on
of
the
their
city code.
Slide here, so let me just look and see what you're referring to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on their slide or not.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, I think you're probably talking to item number 3, which.
think so.
This looks like it was a screenshot from our city code. So item 3 says 0-foot side setback is permitted where adjacent property is RC, so regional commercial, community commercial, or heavy commercial, and where the use of the building is limited exclusively to non-residential use. The wall along the interior side property line shall be unpierced and constructed in accordance with the International Building Code, requiring a building permit and building inspection. So, yeah, so it does say that a 0-foot setback is permitted where adjacent property, so in 3 particular zones, and where the use of the building is limited exclusively to commercial uses.
What are you reading?
This is at the bottom of the table it's in their presentation, it's,
It's in our city code too.
second
Let
page,
me-
but it's in our city code on the table on 19.
Yeah, so that doesn't apply to this zone.
It
'Cause
does, yeah.
applies to
She's just
RC,
wondering what that
CC, and
that
HC.
says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm
That
just
is-
reading it.
That, I'll explain what that is. So, you know how you have strip malls? That allows them to create each building into a lot. That's what that is in our code for.
Okay, I just didn't understand what that meant, and then if we were going to feasibly talk about an item number 4, I want to make sure that I understand that part, so
Yeah.
thank you for explaining that. And then, sorry, I have so many freaking papers up here. Yeah, and, you know, as I looked over this and really looked at, and really listening also to that city council meeting from 2023 and the idea that neighborhood commercial should have a neighborhood benefit. And while we have some neighbors that would hope to be able to get their kids into that school, it's overall, how much of a neighborhood benefit would we see for that? So, all right, that's kind of all I was thinking at this time. We'll go ahead and open for commissioner comment. We'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Rather.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, to me, this is really about the citywide code amendment, and I'm wondering what other avenues and the applicant has explored as far as some kind of conditional use or variance? Because I think it is a big step to just apply this to the citywide code. I know there's not very many properties that this would apply to, but it still does. And someone might try a rezone in the future to neighborhood commercial in light of the fact that they could do a 60,000 square foot building on that property, right? I think, in my opinion, we're looking more just at, like, I'm looking less at what the charter school is proposing as far as their actual, their proposal for their building and facility, and more just kind of as a citywide adoption. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I would think that, you know, there might be an avenue for them to pursue some kind of, you know, condition that specifically to them, but not per the amendment.
Can I address your question? So the best
Yes.
way for them to do something that's specific would be creating an asterisk where it says it's only specific to schools. And the reason for that is, under state law, we were allowed to take conditional uses out of our code, so we don't have that process
Okay.
anymore. And then variances are related to size, shape, and topography of the property that create a hardship. So it would be difficult them, you know, variance isn't meant to give them more than somebody else can have in that zone. So it'd be difficult for them to pursue those other avenues. So the option where they're proposed an asterisk number 4, where it's only applicable to schools. So that option could also be discussed according to our legal
Okay,
input.
yeah, that's great. That's great. I think that probably helps all of us understand it better. What about, like a development agreement? Because I know there's some concern from the citizens that this could be purchased and then sold and turned into something else. Is there, what? Yeah,
Sorry, we
are
actually
we-
aren't, as the applicant, yeah. We're just not doing back and forth on that right now.
anyways, I wonder if there's some kind of exclusive
That
development
is a route
agreement?
that could be pursued, but again, both parties have to agree to that.
Okay, okay. So perhaps the best avenue is the asterisk that limits it to a specific use, in this case, a school. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Chair. First, I would just like to thank everyone for the discussions that we've had this evening. You have been informative, you've been respectful to one another and to the council. That speaks highly. Second, Beehive Academy, I really like your plan, and I like what you've been able to accomplish. But as a counselor or as a commissioner, I go back to the general plan and I look at land use in neighborhoods. I've had an opportunity now to look at this parcel twice, and I've probably spent an hour and a half driving the neighborhood to become familiar with it and understanding the neighborhood. And the thing that I come back to is the vision that the general plan says is preserving existing neighborhoods, requiring new, attractive, healthy, and family-friendly neighborhoods. Neighborhoods will have a variety of housing types and amenities. As new developments occur, it will be supported by appropriate services and amenities, ensuring a high quality of life for existing and future residents. And that is pretty resounding to me. As we have these discussions, we need to protect the integrity of this neighborhood. And we've got commercial kind of creeping in all around, but that is what the general plan, and that's the vision of the neighborhood commercial is. And so to take that away and change the code to 60,000 square feet, I think that runs a little negative to there. I like NH would say, you know, take a look at our discussions today and see if we can come up with something. I love the school, but I want to protect the neighborhood. And this is a neighborhood that is cohesive in what you're thinking. So again, thank you, and that's what I have to say, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Go ahead, Commissioner Miles.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Hill summarized it very, very well. I think most of us feel that a school is a good thing overall. I don't think we question the merits or the purpose of a school for a community, that adds value. I think the concern, as stated by my fellow commissioners, is a citywide amendment change, and how this really impacts that local community. So I would echo my fellow commissioners, and I share the same thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miles. Commissioner Mann?
So, you know, I concur with what my fellow commissioners are saying here, and I just want to say, you know, I too agree that the problem is, you know, being that it is a citywide change, but my foremost concern here is that I feel that it's our duty and the city's duty, city government's duty, to listen to what our citizens want, because they are the ones that are making up what we're trying to do. And they've all made very good points, and I think that they came out, you know, in big numbers, and they don't want this, at least where it's at. I think everybody has made it a point to say that, you know, that's not against the school. The school looks fabulous. I think we would all love to have a school like that here. It's the location. And I think that it's our duty, again, to listen to what our citizens want and act accordingly.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Commissioner, sorry, I'm losing everyone's names tonight. Commissioner Rather.
Yeah, I just want to make another kind of counter comment to what I made before, which is I recognize the study that Hales Engineering put together on the traffic, and I think that has a lot of merit and value to it. I mean, it's hard to know exactly how those parcels would be developed under the current code. That said, you know, I don't know if their numbers are quite right, but, you know, if in fact it does, you know, right now it shows almost quadruple the impact of traffic if that site were to be fully developed under the current code. I know we don't know exactly if that might be the case, but, you know, I'm just saying I recognize that if that were the case, that's also not that favorable. If in fact there's X amount of 15,000 square foot little, you know, whatever kind of businesses are allowed there, that could kind of create its own traffic problems or chaos, or however we want to kind of label that. That definitely could be problematic, and it might not have kind of the same queue of cars that we're concerned about in the morning and evening. Like it probably wouldn't do that, but it may have longer, you know, kind of constant trips back and forth. So I mean, I think that's a valid take also.
Yeah, Commissioner Miles, go ahead.
I think these are all good points. I just want to point out one of the procedural parts of this as the recommending body, that this isn't a final decision from us, that this will ultimately go to the city council for them to make a decision. And I think this is a healthy discussion and bringing up very good points for the overall future of the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miles. And, you know, as we're talking about traffic too, you know, we're talking about people coming into that area in the morning to drop off, and then I guess they have to leave that area to get to work. So it does, I was thinking, you know, we have people coming in opposite of traffic, but then you're just adding people also leaving at that same peak rush hour traffic where we're all already wishing we didn't have to work. So that doesn't make any point there. All right, so looking at this, I feel like I'm actually really uncomfortable with adding a number 4 without giving the city some time to actually look at this and legal to make sure that we're not stepping on any other toes. Are you really, and you're really comfortable with saying that we could add a number 4?
Well, it's not so much adding the number 4. I'm just saying to discuss it, we wouldn't have to renotice this because it is less intensive than what they're requesting. So what I was saying is it's open for discussion because the public hearing would have been sufficient for that to be discussed. Since if it did turn into a number 4 at council, it would be more restrictive than the ask that is before us right now.
Okay.
So we would have to work on it, behind the scenes to make sure it was crafted correctly to be worded right for the code, if that were what council were to choose to adopt.
So if we're looking at adding a number 4, would we want to just table it and give the city a minute to have an appropriate amount of time to work on it?
I think it can be, so if we just left it at 15,000, but the asterisk said only schools can go up to 60,000 or a different number, if that's anything you're leaning towards recommending to the council.
Yeah,
So I don't think it needs to be, I think it's small.
There's not a whole lot of benefit of tabling it at this point because we're essentially know where they want to be and where, you may be leaning with that. If that's where you are, of course, that's up to you. So we could work on that and we could have the packet be accurately reflecting that for the council's consideration when this gets in front of them.
Okay. So the way I see it now, we have option 1, we can approve just making a change of the code to 60,000 square foot for neighborhood commercial. We can, option 2 is we can make a recommendation of no, of denial. And then we have option number 3, which would be to add an asterisk or a number 4 that would state something along the lines of it would need to be a school to qualify for a larger building size. So with those options in front of us as a commission, where's everyone leaning? Or does anyone want to make a motion?
Maybe we should just have a little more discussion, because right at the very end, we've had a lot of things come in. I'll go ahead and start. I'm very positive on the school. Although the school isn't for the neighborhood, it's going to draw students all over the place. I wish we had a piece of property that would fit what you needed and didn't have the impact on this neighborhood. Secondarily, again, my lack of a crystal ball that says what happens is if we create this village of little commercial, maybe 2-story, maybe 1-story, the impact that that's going to have on traffic, in my mind, it could be significant. And I go back to that traffic study that, 3,500 traffic count compared to the 1,400. That gives me some concern. We don't have the crystal ball. And so, but, okay, now I'm gonna say, but I hold myself to the general plan. And the general plan, for me, says that we need to continue to have this as a livable neighborhood that adds to the characteristics, the livability of the neighborhood. And so I guess I'm leaning at this particular time of no, because it doesn't fit the general plan.
Can I add a comment on the traffic? Related to that, it's showing a shopping plaza with a 40 to 150,000 square foot supermarket, which this currently doesn't allow. So the traffic numbers they provided would need further evaluation. This is the first time we've seen that information in their presentation tonight, and we haven't had any opportunity to evaluate that information.
Okay.
It does say non-supermarket anchor, actually, so, page 2
Okay.
in the chart. But
So we still
regardless,
wouldn't even
we have
allow
not had any
40,000
chance to look at this, this traffic study, so we can't really make any comments on it.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts. Again, I'm right on the, I'm right on the fence. This is very hard. But again, as a commissioner, this is an administrative thing that we need to look at, and we are held captive to the general plan.
Yeah. I mean, if we're looking at just overall option one of approval, I'm not an option of making a change to the general plan that says that we can add a 60,000 square foot building to neighborhood commercial. And then if we look at option number 3 of, you know, adding a asterisk or a number 4 of that applies only to schools, it's still, I mean, that takes me back to that 2023 discussion and round of meetings of, you know, this just isn't what this land has been designated as, and you need to look for land that is zoned to meet your requirements. And so I just feel like we're almost having that same discussion on that if we were to look at an option number 4, and that's.
And they have pointed out to staff that they could still go here. It would just be smaller buildings, and that would be more difficult for them in terms of security. Because the zone allows schools, it's the building maximum that's a concern for them. So then they would have to do 4 smaller buildings, and that creates more security concerns for them.
Yeah. So if they did the smaller schools or the smaller buildings, it would still be 2-story buildings, right? Or they could be, yeah. Yep. So my overall lean on this right now is just a denial. Any other commission comment at this time? All right, let's go ahead and open for a motion. I will now entertain a motion on this item. Unless you had something. You got it?
My mic won't turn on.
Try. I think it's on when that green light is on.
It's not turning on.
Oh,
Okay.
you're good, it's on.
Thank you. I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for denial of the proposed code amendments to Chapter 19.04 with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Mann. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
And we have a second from Commissioner Hill. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, we'll now vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that passes. Right.
Chair, just one last thing. You know, we've had very good discussion tonight, and I think this is going to be very helpful to the council to listen to the whole proceedings, and they're quasi-judicial. It's going to run to them anyhow, but I'm thankful for the discussions we've had and the decorum that we've had among one another. So it's been fun to be a part of this discussion.
Thank you. And I do want to just state, I'm not opposed to having a school come in there. I just, there's some zone stuff. We're going to go ahead and actually just take a break for 10 minutes. Yeah, so we're going to come back at 7:35 for a quick bathroom break.
Someone messing with my thingy.
Oh, man.
Perfect.
I hope this next one's not quite so long. No, and this
There's like
one is
two.
pretty cut and dry.
There's like two.
I'm hungry.
The two he said. Well,
I told my husband, I'm gonna wait.
well, there's the ones actually.
This meeting tonight, now I'm kind of regretting that. All right, let's do this. Yeah, do that one.
I'm sorry. All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting back to order, and we are going to move on to business item number 1. Redwood Sports Harvest Point B site plan located at 2113 North Hillcrest Road. Nathan Brown is applicant, and Senior Planner 2, Kendall Black, presenting tonight. What do you got for us?
Okay, so this is located directly north of the Blossom Restaurant, south of the Scooters Coffee, up there on the north end of town. It's regional commercial. It complies with all the codes. They're proposing, it's a basketball training center for the big portion, and then it has multiple businesses. It'll have like a boba shop and a Japanese steakhouse type thing, and then a hair salon, and then another one that hasn't been filled yet, and then it will have 4 apartments up above, and they'll provide like a rec room for that, for the part of the amenities. Yeah, that's the landscape plan. It shows, looks really good. That's the outside of it. And then those are the floor plans to give you a better idea what it looks like. So the top is the bottom floor, and the bottom's the top floor. Could have done that different, I guess. Would have made more sense, but. And then, do you have any questions?
Let's go ahead. Do we want to, is the applicant here tonight? If you want to go ahead and join us, if there's anything you'd like to add, if you can state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, so my name is Zach Cooper. I'm 7 North Azimuth Way in Saratoga Springs. Not a lot to add. I think it's a kind of a nice addition to the area, complements the other architectural, language of the buildings, commercial buildings in that area, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. And this is not a public hearing item, so we won't be opening for public hearing. Go ahead and open for commissioner comment. I'm going to start again. Are you ready? Just kidding. Is this building though, is it going to be dug out some? Is it going to that area is real rocky and there's a lot of different levels, it feels like.
I believe it's lower down towards the street, towards Redwood, than it is up by Hillcrest. Do you recall on the grading?
Yeah, they're not gonna have much opportunity to lower it in because of the sewers on the Hillcrest side? So they're already struggling to get down to that, so they wouldn't be able to go down any deeper.
But they will be leveling lower to Redwood, not building up.
No, they won't be building up, yeah.
Perfect.
And the max height on that at the peak was 32 feet, so it's not super crazy.
How much higher is that than any of the buildings next to it?
Well, all the other ones are 1 story around it, so it's gonna be, quite a bit bigger or taller.
Yeah.
But it's still lower down in elevation than even the condos or apartments to the west of
Yeah,
it.
so it's really not going to be like blocking any views because
Yeah,
it is
does-
so
it-
much lower. Yeah.
There's nothing yeah.
This is right in front of the neighborhood, and I love that I have to ask all these questions, don't I? Okay, that was it for me. Any other public, or, sorry, any other commissioner comment?
Just real quickly, thank you,
Thank you,
Chair.
Commissioner Hill.
Number one, thank you for the 3D rendering. That really helps us, and that's a part of what we've required, but it gives us a view. I think it's going to add some character in that area a little bit because it's kind of the mountainside and those types of things. Compliant, as I read through that, it was compliant. And just a second, gotta get the glasses back on. And the other thing that I really am starting to appreciate when we take commercial and we're doing residential above, it gives us more needed residential, but it's not really adding to the density because that would have just been lost. So again, thank you. And I think we're going to see more and more of that. And so that's all I'll say. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other commissioner comment? Commissioner, go right ahead.
I frequent scooters quite often, a lot, actually. And I really like the 3D rendering, honestly. And I think the elevation, to your point, it really works out quite well, I think. So I just wanted to say, I like that. That's all.
Okay, thank you for your comment tonight. Is this going to be locally kind of owned and operated as far as the sports center?
Yeah, my understanding, the owner of the building is local, and he'll be the owner operator of it.
He actually used to live at Saratoga.
Who is it?
Mark knows him. Acha? I don't know. It's a really long name. But yeah,
Okay.
Mark used to know him. He used to live down in his neighborhood.
Okay.
I do want to add to the question about grading. It is coming up a little bit on the Redwood Road side, all of them, but similar to all of them. So about where it already slopes up from the road a
Mhm.
few feet, and then it will come up 4 feet in addition to that on that side. So
Okay.
kind of similar to what you see, though. They have to do it that way with the grading.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, oh, I know, that spot's a super fun spot. So I'm kind of assuming, well, I guess you probably don't know. So with these kind of facilities, these sports facilities, these apartments that go above, a lot of times like a site manager will live in them. Do you know if that's kind of the idea here?
I can't confirm for sure, but I believe that is the intent, is those residences would serve people that work in the businesses below.
Okay. This is great. I really love this. I actually really, really wish that I was building this building with these residents in it. And I am definitely in favor of this going forward. Commissioner Rather.
I don't think I see it anywhere. I'm just curious. Are those apartments for rent, or are they condominiums for
They're
purchase?
condos.
They're apartments.
Oh, these ones, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant the ones
Just
on the
the-
property next to it.
I think
Sorry,
he said
no,
they
I'm
were
referring to
apartments.
the units
I think
in-
they were just apartments for rent.
Yeah.
And obviously, that fits within the zone. I mean, I'd probably call that building mixed use. Is that what we
Uh-huh.
term
Mhm.
that? Okay.
Well, it's our regional commercial zone, but we do allow residential above in that zone. So technically, the building itself is mixed use, yes.
But that's not
But the
that zone,
zoning
it's the
is
regional.
commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other commissioner comment? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Wrong way, sorry. Now it stopped.
Sorry, can you get to the page we like, though?
I'm working on it.
There you
There we
go. All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Rather.
I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval of the requested site plan for Redwood Sports located at 2113 North Hillcrest Road with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll
Second.
Thank you. We're going to let Commissioner Roman take that second tonight.
You got it, buddy.
It's all him.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
And then any questions on that motion? Hearing none, we'll now vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that passes unanimously. And we will move on to approval of minutes for March 26, which was my birthday, 2026.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So it's yeah, but the date, you said April
It is,
So it's the March 26th.
March 26th. That's what it was.
Yep.
March 26th. I move that the Planning Commission approve the minutes of March 26th of the minutes from the agenda that you will be approving.
Perfect.
Right?
Yep, and do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that also passes unanimously. Move to commissioner comments. Commissioner Hill.
Had the opportunity last weekend to go to the APA Spring Conference, and again, a great conference. A long drive, 3.5 hours one way down to Bryce Canyon, but it was great. But what I wanted to share is how impressed I am with our staff. We had Sarah, we had Austin, and we had Kendall that was there. And the interaction and the networking that happened, we can be proud that they represent Saratoga Springs. You know, I'm just a volunteer, and they're the ones that represent the city. And I just wanted to make a shout out and make it a part of the record, how well respected they are. And Tippy was there also, excuse me, Tippy was there. Yep. And again, great representation, people coming up to talk to them all the time. So Sarah, take that back to the staff. And again, it was a good conference, and we're very well respected throughout the state with the staff at Saratoga Springs.
Well, I should give Scott some kudos too, because he's on the board and he came home from vacation to go, so.
We have really great staff. I will definitely second that comment, Commissioner Hill, that, it really makes doing this kind of volunteer work, like available to do because we have such good staff and such good support from the city. And so I do definitely appreciate that. And also Commissioner Hill, really appreciate the work you bring in as well. Any other commissioner comment tonight? All right, we will move on to our director's report.
Okay, there was a council meeting 2 nights ago. We had 3 code amendments and a village plan and a site plan. No, sorry, the village plan was tabled, so the Beacon 8 village plan was tabled. They did work through the architectural language as you had suggested before scheduling it for council, but then the applicant couldn't attend. So that was tabled. It'll go to May 5th. And then the building buffer and loading bay, that was tabled so we could work on it a little bit more. There was concern about how close the turn around the building in a drive-through lane could be to the building. So we'll be working on that just a little bit more. And then the amenity point changes, that was tabled as well, so we could have further discussion on when to require a public restroom and how to make the language discretionary for the council. And then the code amendments for office warehouse, where we exempt smaller buildings so they don't have to follow the warehouse standards, they can follow our commercial standards, that was passed. And then the North Marina site plan was approved. Okay. And then your next meeting is scheduled for April 30th in 2 weeks. And I'm seeing 4 items on the agenda. Between now and then, we might see more.
Okay. Any need for a closed session tonight?
No.
All right, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting.